Hey, Centerpoint, Michael DiMuccio here, and in today's segment, I'm going to be talking about Good Friday, and what a privilege that is to share. It's funny, I think of Passion Week, and I think, from the hosannas spoken on Sunday, and then to the betrayal and the arrest on Thursday, here we are on Friday. This is the day in which he came. You think of the echo, if you will, of John the Baptist, who had said about 3 years before at the baptism of Christ, "Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." And so now, that hope-giving prophetic utterance of John is here. It is Friday. Much has been said when we think of the punishment that Christ went through, the sacrifice. We've heard the scientific breakdowns. The movie The Passion of the Christ portrayed that, so realistically for a movie anyway. But before I get into that aspect, what I really want to hone in on today in this segment is a little conversation that Jesus has with Pontius Pilate. Between all this stuff, from the trial to eventual floggings to the eventual crucifixion, here we have Jesus face to face with Pilate. Take a moment and reflect why Jesus came before we get into this conversation. You think back to what he said in Mark. Early in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus says, "I've come to preach the kingdom," right? And he went town to town doing that. Another place in the Gospel of Mark, he says, "I didn't come to be served, but to serve and to give my life a ransom for many." So we as believers kind of know what he came to do, right? But here we have, in the midst of even this prophetic utterance of John coming back from 3 years before, what did Jesus really come to do? So here, in this conversation with Pilate, it's interesting what he tells this outsider, so to speak. Picking up at John 18:33, Jesus answered him, "Are you speaking for yourself about this, or did others tell you this concerning me?" That he's a king, and that's what Pilate asked him. Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you to me. What have you done?" Now, interesting here what Jesus answers him. Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world." He didn't answer what he'd done because he knew he had not done anything to deserve this. So he goes to the king aspect. "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight so that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate therefore said to him, "Are you a king then?" Jesus answered, "You say rightly I am a king." And now here we get to the reason. This is the reason he gives Pilate. "For this cause I was born, and for this cause I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" The irony here is the night before, on Thursday, Last Supper, Jesus told his disciples, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Here, Pilate is looking truth in the face and doesn't recognize it. But I love what Jesus said there. "All those who hear me are of the truth." One translation says, "All those who hear me are on the side of truth." So you think about that for a moment. What side was Pilate on? Jesus said, "If you're listening to me, if you're hearing me, then you're on this side." It begs the question, there's another side. It's the side of the lie. It's the side of darkness. It's the side of untruth. Here we have, though, the side of truth, and he asks, "What is truth?" Jesus, again, was the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through him. And one disciple said, "Well, then show us the Father." And Jesus had said, "Well, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father." What do I think of on Good Friday? And I'll leave you with this. It's payday. Payment was made for those who want to be on the side of truth, for those who want to walk in the light of the world. It's payday. When you think of the world, we typically get paid on Fridays for work we've already done. Here, Jesus makes atonement. He makes payment for our sin, for works we never did, or for what I would call substandard work. It's payday, and it goes back to utterance the Apostle Paul would eventually make. Romans 3:25, in God's forbearance, it was a righteous thing to forgive sinners. So now going back, and we'll end with this, the ransom. Jesus Christ gave his life as a ransom for many. I challenge you today, if you're watching this, has your life been ransomed? Are you on the side of truth? Are you walking in the truth? My prayer for us is that we would get on Jesus' side, walk with him, and do the works which he calls us to do. God bless you as we celebrate Passion Week, and may the Lord continue to mold and shape you.